right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kati Fernandez, and I'm a proud member of the class of 2015. And I'll be honest, standing here with you today feels completely surreal. Not just because I'm back on campus the same weekend as my 10-year reunion, but because I never imagined that 10 years after leaving Mount St. James, I'd be invited back to reflect on my time as a student, but on the unwinding, uncertain, and beautiful journey that's followed. To be standing here as someone who spent the last decade building a career in media, leading development and production teams, creating award-winning content, documentaries and series, working for brands like the NFL, Hulu, and now ESPN, if you told my 21-year-old self that I probably would have laughed or cried or both. The truth is, I didn't come to Holy Cross thinking I'd end up in media. I never seen anyone hold a job like this. I had never seen anyone that I grew up with hold these responsibilities, especially as someone who was raised in the Dominican Republic and was raised in Cambridge, Massachusetts, surrounded with a family and community that held public service roles. They were farmers, small business owners, doctors, lawyers, and hospitality workers. Media wasn't even in the realm of possibility. It wasn't part of any story I'd ever seen written. When I got to Holy Cross, I was pre-med and a music major. I was proud to be the first in my family to attend a four-year college along with my sister, class of 2014, but I didn't have a playbook. I came from beginnings that, came from a low-income family. There was no roadmap. Navigating campus like this, there's really no one that handed me a blueprint. And yet something started to shift for me. In our first year of Montserrat class, we were introduced to the concept of discernment. I didn't know then how powerful that word would become for me. At 18, I thought it was a really fancy word for decision-making. But over time, I learned that discernment isn't about decisiveness, it's about listening. It's about learning to hear the quiet nudge beneath the noise, the whisper that says this way. That would follow me and anchor me, and quite honestly, at times, it saved me. During fall semester of my senior year, a Holy Cross alum said to me, "You'd be great in media." I truly had no idea what he meant. I barely understood what a career in media looked like. But his words really landed somewhere deep in my spirit. And so fast forward to April 2015, I was sitting in Figge Hall, planning a cross-country road trip to Los Angeles with my roommate and best friend. I had no job lined up, no apartment waiting, and no real plan. I definitely couldn't afford a plane ticket, but I felt like I had to go. And for me, that was discernment at work. It didn't make sense, it wasn't safe, it was impractical, and frankly, unthinkable, especially for someone like me, someone from a close-knit Dominican family where no one had moved that far away, someone who'd never seen a path like this modeled before, and who financially had to be really strategic about the move and its costs. But discernment doesn't follow logic. It asks you to sit with fear and still move forward. It asks you to trust the nudge even when the plan isn't clear. So we packed up the car with nothing but hopes and dreams and ambition and started our 3,000-mile journey to Los Angeles. And somewhere between Texas and Arizona, I got my official letter from the NFL Network for a 7-month contract. What felt like a blind leap of faith just months earlier became the beginning of what some would call a successful career. But for me, it was something deeper. The first sign that listening to that inner voice could actually lead somewhere meaningful. At the NFL, I joined a small team of production assistants responsible for building features around athletes. The ones that run before kickoff or during halftime, it's kind of the stories behind the stats. There's just one problem. I didn't know football. But what I did know was how to ask questions, research, and write with empathy. I leaned on the same skills I had developed in my courses: critical thinking, layered storytelling, and moral imagination. Those were not skills I learned in media room. I learned them right here, in classrooms that forced me to wrestle with complexity. In my first year, I was offered an unexpected opportunity to help produce the film on the late Jim Brown, an icon, an activist, and a complicated figure whose story demanded depth. That kind of assignment usually went to someone more senior, but someone believed in me and I stepped up. I got promoted, I enrolled at Syracuse, worked towards my master's degree while continuing full-time production. I began consulting on the side, really having no idea what I was doing. And really just juggling a lot of things to make ends meet. And at the same time, growing my love for storytelling that felt like a calling, not just a career. But success doesn't protect you from doubt. During my second season, a senior leader sat me down and told me something I still remember till this day. He said that he thought I wasn't cut out for this industry. that maybe I should consider other options. I remember sitting there trying to process. I loved what I did. I loved the responsibility of telling stories. And I had to ask myself, where was that feedback coming from? And what did I want to do with it? That's where discernment showed up again. Because discernment isn't just the big moves across the country. It's for the small personal moments when someone questions your worth. It's for when you're standing in the tension of who others think you are and who you know yourself to be. And I'm grateful I had the spiritual grounding, the formation, the voice to ask, is this true to who I am, or is it just someone else's projection of me? Is this the end of the road, or is it just the beginning for another chapter? Had I listened to that feedback, I never would have gotten a call from Hulu 3 months later and became one of the youngest producers there, working on premium documentaries, sports, and partnerships. I never would have traveled the world, telling stories, leading teams, and I never would have found myself at the intersection of faith, creativity, and leadership. And discernment didn't just guide me to opportunities, it shaped how I lead. It's choosing collaborators, saying no to projects that feel performative, championing voices that might otherwise be overlooked. It helped me make business decisions that not only feel smart, but right. Discernment is the best part of my playbook, and I developed it here. Today, I lead the content development team at ESPN. I work with agents, athletes, producers, directors to bring iconic 30 for 30s, iconic series, culture-defining films, podcasts, and now scripted content into this world. We get to explore the human side of sports, the joy, the pain, the legacy, the truth that lives beneath the surface. And in that work, discernment shows up every single day, whether it's deciding which stories to serve our platform, which partners align with our mission, or which creative risks are worth taking. It's just not a personal tool anymore for me. It's a leadership tool at work. And it's helped me stay rooted in purpose while navigating the complexity of brand, audience, and scale. But every day, no matter the meeting, project, or pressure, I return to the same questions that guided me as a student here at Holy Cross. What is being asked of me? Not what's easiest, not what's most impressive, but what is most just? What is most thoughtful? What is most true? That's discernment. It's not always clean, it's not always comfortable, but it's always clarifying. It's why I've turned down roles that didn't align with my values, even when the pay looked really tempting. In the title, I've never sought to build a resume. I've sought to build a life led with conviction, not convention. In these halls, I learned to be a dual citizen of the world, of the boardroom and of the spirit, of metrics and meaning, of outcomes and deeper questions that shape them. So I want to end with this. If you find yourself in a season of change, pause and listen. If you're navigating doubt, ask, is this true to who I am? And if you've never seen the life you want modeled before you, maybe that's because you're being called to be the first. There may not be a playbook, but you can make it your purpose. Discernment is your compass. It's the quiet voice that says, keep going. You were made for more, even when you can't see it yet. So I'll ask you, where in your life are you being invited to listen more closely? What leap are you being called to take even without a map? How might discernment be the tool you didn't know you needed to build a life you've never seen before? The world may tell you to have a 5-year plan, and I'll say, have a purpose. Let your life be less about what others want you to be and more about where you want to be led. Discernment has changed the way I see the world and the way I move through it. A way of trusting that your story matters and how you tell it might change how someone else's life and leads you to places that you've never imagined. As I reflect on this first decade of work, I know there are many more to come, although I am hoping for early retirement. And I'll keep leaning on the same toolkits that helped me lead, follow, assess, and thrive, especially when the path isn't always clear. Because what I've learned is that calling isn't always loud. Sometimes it's slow, and sometimes it comes at the speed of light. But in every season, whether I'm waiting patiently or running full speed, I turn to the same playbook. To slow down, to reflect, to see. And if I ever get the honor of telling the story again in years ahead, I hope it's not just a reflection of what I've achieved, but a continuation of how I've grown, what I've answered to, and the purpose I've been led by. Thank you.